The Bitterroot Mountains screamed under -30°F winds. Rex Canine, a 7-year-old Marine Corps explosive specialist, lay curled in a blood-stained snowdrift. His tactical vest, once emblazoned with Knox in black Sharpie, hung in tatters. 3 broken ribs, a shattered hind leg, 72 hours without food. The crows circled lower. At his side lay the frozen body of Jared Knox, his handler, whose last act had been draping his own coat over Rex before the light left his eyes. The shepherd's breath slowed until a shadow blocked the setting sun. Not a bird, not rescue. Yellow eyes glowed through the blizzard. 3 days earlier, Rex's unit had been extracting wounded near Salmon Chalice when Drake Slate's mercenaries ambushed them. RPGs lit the forest. Jared took 3 rounds to the chest. Rex dragged his 190-pound handler 53 yards by his vest straps before the Blackwater team called retreat. The last thing Rex heard? The chopper rotors fading, and General Holloway barking into the radio, "Asset recovery complete. No secondary retrievals." Now, as hypothermia set in, Rex's training warred with instinct. Marines don't quit, but the snow kept falling, and the yellow eyes kept watching.
The wolf smelled of pine and gunpowder. Shadow, a 130-pound alpha with a mangled ear and shotgun scars, circled the dying pair. His pack lurked in the trees, including a massive beta with Ghost's pale fur, unnamed per your rules. Science says wolves don't grieve, but when Shadow nosed Jared's stiffened hand, still clutching Rex's leash, he did something unimaginable. The alpha wolf lay down against Rex's frozen flank, sharing body heat. The beta snarled in protest until Shadow's warning growl shook the pines. This wasn't nature. This was something older. As Rex's heartbeat faltered, Shadow began licking his wounds with rough, urgent strokes. "Not today, soldier." Dawn revealed the truth. Rex's blood had painted a 3-foot circle around Jared's body. Shadow, who should have been hunting, stayed glued to the shepherd's side. Then, crunch, crunch, crunch. Drake Slate's voice cut through the trees. "Find that damn dog." Shadow's lips curled back from yellowed fangs. Every instinct screamed run. But as Boots approached, the wolf did the impossible. He dragged Rex by the scruff toward a granite fissure. The beta wolf blocked their escape, teeth bared, until Shadow slammed him into a tree. The message was clear. This one's under my protection. Some bonds defy species.
The crawl to Shadow's den took 2 agonizing hours. Rex's shattered leg left a crimson snail trail through the snow. When he collapsed for the 11th time, Shadow did something no wild wolf should know. He whined like a pet dog. The sound cracked Rex's discipline. A memory flashed, Jared teaching him to speak as a puppy at Camp Lejeune. With a final surge, Rex lunged forward, just as Drake Slate's bullet whizzed past his ear. Shadow retaliated with a howl so primal it shook ice from the branches. The pack answered. 7 wolves materialized from the blizzard, forming a living shield around the wounded Marine and his unlikely guardian. The beta wolf lunged first, straight for Rex's throat. Shadow intercepted mid-air, their collision spraying snow. The pack watched in stunned silence as their alpha chewed venison and spit it into Rex's mouth like a mother feeding pups. Then came the miracle. The beta sniffed Rex's wounds and regurgitated his own meal. Dr. Lisa Carter would later call this biologically unprecedented. But in that moment, it was simply survival. As the pack huddled around Rex, Shadow stood guard, ears pivoting toward distant snowmobiles. Drake Slate wasn't done, and neither was the wolf. Shadow's den reeked of wet fur and old blood. The beta, still unnamed,
blocked the entrance, snarling at Rex. Shadow's response rewrote science. He dragged Rex into the den's heart, displacing two females. When the beta protested, Shadow clamped his jaws around the younger wolf's throat, not biting, but dominating. That night, 7 wolves and 1 military dog formed a heat pile as the blizzard raged outside. Rex dreamed of Jared's voice. "You're not alone, warrior." He woke to Shadow licking his nose in rhythm. Breathe in, breathe out, mirroring canine CPR. The wolf's amber eyes said everything. We're both soldiers here. By week's end, a routine emerged. Shadow hunted at dawn while the pack guarded Rex. The alpha always returned with extra meat, once dragging a 40-pound deer haunch 3 miles through snow. Then came the morning Shadow didn't return. At dusk, he limped into camp, a fresh bullet wound in his shoulder. Human scent clung to his fur. He'd been near the access road, where Colonel Strickland's search team was digging up Jared's body. Shadow locked eyes with Rex. Some primal understanding passed between them. The wolf had seen the men who abandoned them, and now they were coming for the evidence.
The storm hit with apocalyptic force. Shadow, weakened by blood loss, positioned himself between Rex and the den entrance. As temperatures plunged, the pack formed a living blanket around them. Rex repaid the wolf's mercy, licking Shadow's bullet wound clean, just as he'd done for Jared in Ramadi. Outside, the wind howled like dying men. Inside, 2 warriors shared breath and body heat. Researchers would later say no wolf should have survived that night. But Shadow had one last mission. At dawn, his ears pricked at a sound Rex knew too well. The whump, whump, whump of General Holloway's approaching Chinook. Drake Slate's snowmobiles arrived first. Shadow was on his feet instantly, his wound bedamned. Rex tried to stand, but collapsed. The wolf placed a massive paw on his head. "Stay down, Marine." Then, the howl. Not a warning, a battle cry. The pack formed a living barrier between Rex and the mercenaries. Slate raised his rifle. "Aim for the alpha." Shadow leaped not to attack, but to shield the beta with his body. Bullets tore through fur just as Clay Weston's .30-06 roared from the ridge. The old Ranger's shot knocked Slate's rifle skyward. "Over here, you son of a—" The rest was drowned out by the Chinook's 50 cal opening fire. But Shadow was already gone, dragging himself toward the one thing worth dying for. Clay Weston's boots punched through the crusted snow as he tracked the crimson trail. The old Ranger had seen wolf sign for days, but this was different. The blood was canine, but the shredded Kevlar vest fragments told the real story. A military dog had crawled through this frozen hell, and judging by the drag marks, something big had helped it. His radio crackled. "Weston, abort! We've got Blackwater contractors inbound." Clay spat tobacco juice into the snow. Like hell he'd abandoned another soldier, not after Nam, not after they'd left Jared Knox's body to freeze. Shadow's muzzle pressed against Rex's neck as the first snowmobile crested the ridge. The wolf's breath came in ragged puffs. That bullet wound was worse than he'd let on. With a strength that defied injury, the 130-pound alpha began dragging Rex toward a granite outcropping. The beta wolf, still unnamed, moved to block them until Shadow's warning snarl cut through the wind. Some unspoken understanding passed between the wolves. Suddenly, the beta was beside them, helping nudge Rex forward while the rest of the pack fanned out as a distraction. For the first time in his disciplined life, Rex understood what Jared had meant about unlikely allies in hell.
Rex's vision blurred as they reached the granite shelf. Below them, Drake Slate and his men were fanning out, rifles sweeping the tree line. Shadow's ears flattened. The wolf knew these woods like Clay Weston knew war. Every escape route, every kill zone. With a nudge to Rex's shoulder, Shadow indicated a fissure barely wide enough for the shepherd. The beta wolf whimpered, pawing at Shadow's wounded flank. The message was clear. Their alpha couldn't follow. Rex locked eyes with Shadow and did something no trained military dog should. He disobeyed. Instead of crawling to safety, he turned back toward the mercenaries. Some debts demanded payment in blood.
The cave stank of wet fur and iron. 7 sets of lupine eyes watched as the beta, still unnamed, dragged Rex deeper into Shadow's territory. The pack's snarls vibrated through stone as they caught Rex's human scent, the stank of gunpowder and military-issue soap. Then something extraordinary happened. The smallest female, her coat still winter-thin, crept forward and licked the frozen blood from Rex's paw. It was the same tentative gesture Shadow had shown weeks earlier. The beta growled, until he caught scent of what had drawn her, the lingering trace of Jared Knox's hand on Rex's collar. Some memories transcended species.
Dawn revealed the impossible. The pack had formed a living wall between Rex and the cave entrance, their bodies blocking the brutal wind. Shadow was gone, likely drawing the mercenaries away. The beta wolf dropped a freshly killed snowshoe hare at Rex's feet, then retreated with ears flattened. Not submission, respect. As Rex ate, he noticed the cave walls were scratched with generations of wolf marks, and something else. Near the back, barely visible in the gloom, someone had carved USMC 1968. Clay Weston would have been about 18 then. The pieces clicked together. This wasn't just a den. It was a sanctuary older than war. Drake Slate's voice carried clearly in the mountain air. Burn them out. The stench of gasoline flooded the cave. The wolves panicked, scrambling over each other in the confined space. Rex's training kicked in. He'd seen this in Fallujah. With a strength born of desperation, he herded the pack toward the rear tunnel, the one Shadow had shown him. The beta refused to go, standing firm at the entrance as the first Molotov cocktail shattered against stone. Flames licked up the cave walls, illuminating the beta's scarred face for the first time. Not fear, resolve. He turned to Rex with what could only be called a salute, before charging into the fire.
The explosion rocked the mountainside. Clay Weston's rifle jammed as he crested the ridge, just in time to see the bait wolf launch itself at Drake Slate's throat. The mercenary scream was cut short by a second explosion from the cave. Then, silence. The pack was gone. Shadow was gone. Only Rex remained, dragging himself through the smoke with Jared Knox's dog tags clenched in his teeth. Slate's surviving men raised their rifles. Clay's .30-06 was empty. That's when the Chinook spotlight pinned them all. General Holloway's voice boomed from the loudspeaker. "Stand down, Blackwater. This is now a United States military operation." But the real miracle, the faint howl that answered from the burning woods. Shadow lived. The medevac team found Rex first. Dr. Lisa Carter's hands shook as she assessed his injuries: frostbite, shrapnel wounds, 3 broken ribs. "This dog should be dead," she murmured. Then Clay pointed to the tree line. Shadow stood silhouetted against the flames, his silver coat matted with blood. The wolf locked eyes with Rex across the chaos. No howl, no gesture, just a look that said everything warriors needed to say. Then he was gone, vanishing into the smoke like the ghost they'd named him after. The beta was nowhere to be found. But as they loaded Rex onto the chopper, Clay noticed something. The pack was reforming in the distance. 7 became 6. 6 became 5. The math of loss was universal.
The VA hospital in Sheridan smelled like antiseptic and lies. Rex panted anxiously as generals in crisp uniforms studied Clay's evidence. "Classified operation," one officer snapped. But Dr. Carter wasn't buying it. "I served with Knox and Ramadi," she whispered. "They told us he and Rex died weeks ago." Her tablet displayed court-martial records for a private who'd refused to sanitize a crash site. The date matched Operation Red Dawn. Outside, snow began falling again, the same icy crystals that had covered Shadow's body. Rex's remaining teeth ground together. They'd stolen his death. Now they'd pay for stealing his life. CNN's breaking news banner scrolled, "Decorated K9 unit reported KIA found alive." Rex didn't recognize the handsome German Shepherd on screen, the one receiving a posthumous Silver Star. That dog had all 4 legs. That dog wasn't trembling in a trauma ward with half his teeth missing. Clay muted the report as a Pentagon spokesman praised Rex's heroic demise. Then came the sound they'd all been waiting for, a distant howl from the Bitterroots. Not a wolf's, not a dog's, something in between. Rex's tail thumped weakly. Somewhere out there, Shadow was keeping watch. And if a wolf could outsmart the U.S. military, so could a Marine.
Clay Weston's gnarled fingers trembled as he turned the blood-stained dog tag over in his hands. The engraved name, KNOX, Jared R., stared back like a ghost. Behind him, Rex let out a sound the old ranger had never heard from any dog, something between a howl and a human sob. The dates didn't make sense. These tags were freshly issued, not the weathered relics they'd found in Shadow's den. Then, Clay noticed the nearly invisible GPS chip welded to the metal. This wasn't just identification, it was a beacon, and it was still transmitting. Somewhere in these frozen mountains, Sergeant Jared Knox might still be drawing breath. The VA hospital corridor echoed with lies. Dr. Lisa Carter stood rigid as General Holloway's aide recited the official story. KIA during op extraction. Her medic's eye caught what others missed, Rex's violent flinch at the word extraction. When the officers left, she showed Clay her tablet. The screen displayed blacked-out documents with one visible line, "Terminate K9 witness to prevent operational compromise." Clay's face went pale. He'd heard similar phrases in Nam. "They set them both up," he rasped. Outside the window, snow began falling, the same icy crystals that had covered Shadow's body.
CNN's breaking news banner scrolled, "Decorated Canine reported KIA found alive." Rex didn't recognize the pristine German Shepherd on screen, the one receiving a posthumous Silver Star. That dog had all 4 legs. That dog wasn't trembling in a trauma ward with half his teeth missing from chewing through frozen carcasses. Dr. Carter muted the report as a Pentagon spokesman praised Rex's valiant sacrifice. Clay's knuckles whitened around his coffee cup. "They're erasing him twice," he growled. Rex's remaining teeth ground together. They'd stolen his death. Now they'd steal his life. The VA parking lot was empty, except for a haggard corporal leaning against a beat-up Ford. "I was the extraction pilot," he choked out when Clay approached. His phone displayed the original order, "Retrieve human assets only." Below, a handwritten addendum, "Terminate canine witness." The corporal's tears froze on his cheeks. "They showed me photos, said Rex was already gone." Rex limped forward and did something extraordinary. He licked the man's shaking fingers. Some betrayals cut too deep for anger. The image exploded online before dawn. Clay kneeling beside Rex at Shadow's makeshift grave. #SoldierWolf trended worldwide. What the photo didn't show? The classified folder delivered to Dr. Carter that morning. She flipped through blacked-out pages until one line leaped out. Subject K9R exhibited anomalous pack bonding behavior. Recommend immediate termination. The rest was censored. Outside, news helicopters circled. Inside, Rex stared at his reflection in the glass. What had Shadow seen in him that terrified them so much? Physical therapy hurt less than the nightmares. Every time Rex closed his eyes, he saw Shadow's last moments, the way the wolf's amber eyes had softened when he recognized the Apache. Not fear, relief. Dr. Carter called it PTSD. Clay called it survivor's guilt. Down the hall, arguments erupted about canine cognitive deterioration. Her voice carried, "He's not broken, he's mourning." That night, Rex did something no service dog should. He crawled onto Clay's cot and rested his head on the old ranger's chest. 2 heartbeats, 1 grief.
The hospital staff learned quickly, never approach Rex at 3:17 a.m. The shepherd would bolt upright, his remaining ear flattened. Then the howling began. Not canine, not lupine, something in between. Security footage showed Rex dragging himself to the window each night, muzzle pressed against glass as he vocalized toward the bitterroots. Wildlife experts confirmed the impossible. Wild wolves were answering. One recording revealed 3 distinct responses. When Dr. Carter played it, Rex licked the speaker, right as Shadow's distinctive raspy howl came through. The discharge papers included a clause no one expected: canine subject to immediate DOD reclamation. Clay's pen hovered. Across the room, Rex stared at him, those eyes reflecting decades of war stories. The old ranger's hands shook as he recalled another promise made in the Mekong Delta. With sudden clarity, he tore the papers in half. "Not this time," he growled. Rex's tail thumped once. They both knew what came next. The Ford's engine roared to life outside. It was 287 miles to Canada. They'd need to move fast.
Border Patrol found them at a remote ranger station near Glacier Park. Rex was curled in the truck bed when Jared Knox emerged from a black Suburban, his face a road map of fresh scars. Rex's tail wagged for the first time since the ambush. Not the trained metronome swing of a military dog, the uncontrolled whole-body helicopter spin of a puppy seeing its person. Knox collapsed to his knees, tears cutting trails through weeks of grime. "I looked for you," he choked out, "every damn day." The agents exchanged glances. Some reunions were sacred. Dawn at Logan Pass revealed Jared's secret. Coordinates to a Forest Service cabin where 7 wolf pups whimpered in a pen. Rex recognized them instantly by scent. Shadow's last litter. They were going to euthanize them, Jared rasped. Clay studied the pups' markings. One had Rex's exact caramel eyebrow spots. The old ranger's voice broke. Guess Shadow got the last word. As sunlight touched the pups, Rex herded them toward Jared with gentle nose prods. The message was clear. These are your pack now. Some legacies were worth preserving. The cabin door rattled under pounding fists. Clay Weston's .45 was drawn before his boots hit the floor. Through the cracked wood, a familiar silhouette stood haloed by moonlight. General Holloway, his dress blues impeccable despite the hour. "Stand down, Ranger," the general barked, flanked by 2 MPs. Rex's growl vibrated through the floorboards as Jared Knox stepped forward, his own hands raised. The truth hung heavy between them. This wasn't a rescue. The GPS chip in Jared's dog tag still pulsed, and Holloway's gloved hand rested on his sidearm. Some homecomings came with bullets. Jared's knees hit the porch boards with a crack. His fingers, still missing 2 nails from torture, dug into Rex's fur as the shepherd licked salt from his cheeks. "They showed me your corpse," he choked out. Clay's eyes narrowed. The military didn't do mercy visits at midnight. Then he saw it, the fresh scar tracing Jared's hairline. A neural implant. Rex smelled it too, his nose twitching at the sterile tang of government tech. This wasn't Jared Knox. Not all of him, and the part that was screaming through his eyes.
The cabin floor became a battlefield. Rex's muscles trembled as he circled the man who'd raised him. The same hands that once fed him steak, now reeking of interrogation drugs. General Holloway smiled. The dog remembers Knox. Pity. Jared's reply came through gritted teeth. You wired me like a goddamn lab rat. Rex's ears flattened. Somewhere beneath the neural static was the voice that had guided him through minefields. With a whimper that shook the rafters, the shepherd pressed his forehead to Jared's boot. Forgiveness wasn't approval. It was a weapon. Dr. Lisa Carter's scalpel glinted in lantern light as she peeled back Jared's scalp. The implant pulsed like a spider beneath his skin. Jesus, Clay breathed. The circuitry matched the chips they'd found in Shadow's territory, the ones dated 1968. Jared's laugh was hollow. They've been running this program since Vietnam. Rex nosed the scar on Jared's wrist, the one from his first combat tour. The real wound was deeper. Somewhere in a Pentagon black site, Jared Knox's memories were still being mined. And Rex? He was patient zero in a war even wolves couldn't smell coming.
Dawn painted the cabin in blood light. Clay's maps were spread across the table, escape routes to Canada. Jared's fist clenched around a syringe of neural blockers. I can't cross with you, he muttered. Rex stood between them, his gaze flickering between the ranger who'd saved him and the soldier who'd loved him. The choice came when Holloway's men breached the door. Rex lunged, not at the intruders, but at Jared's arm, sinking teeth into flesh just as the syringe plunged home. Some bonds demanded sacrifice. As Jared's eyes cleared for the first time in months, Clay's .45 roared to life. The firefight left the cabin in splinters. Clay dragged Jared through the tree line as Rex covered their retreat, his training overriding grief. They reached the riverbank as the sun crested the Bitterroots. There, in the fresh snow, a single set of wolf tracks led toward Canada. No blood, no body, just the imprint of a massive paw missing one toe. Shadow's signature. Rex's howls shattered the morning calm. From across the border, an answering cry rose. Not farewell, rallying point.
The safe house reeked of wet fur and gun oil. Jared, finally free of the implant static, traced the bullet graze on Rex's shoulder. Still saving my ass, huh? Outside, Clay cursed as he tripped over a snow-covered lump, a freshly killed hare laid precisely where the porch light fell. The old ranger's breath fogged in the cold. Goddamn wolves got better intel than the CIA. Rex didn't need to sniff the offering to know. The bite marks were textbook alpha technique. Shadow's message was clear. Eat, fight, live. Some deaths never ended. Border Patrol found them at daybreak. Jared stood barefoot in the snow, his hospital gown flapping as he faced down the rifles. You're supposed to be dead, Sergeant, the lead agent muttered. Rex's growl cut off as a sound rolled down from the peaks, a howl layered with unnatural harmonics. The agent's hand shook. Clay smiled. The recording devices in their cruisers would capture nothing, but every dog within 10 miles would wake screaming. Some goodbyes were weapons. The vet clinic in Whitefish had seen stranger things than a decorated canine with forged papers. Dr. Lisa Carter snipped the last stitch as Jared scrolled through encrypted files. They bred him for it, he whispered. The screen displayed Project Cerberus, 1958, 1983. Canine Neural Enhancement. Rex's DNA matched specimens from Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. Clay spat. That why Shadow took to him? Outside, snow swirled in patterns too precise for wind. Rex watched the tree line, his tail stiff. The war wasn't over. It had just gone wild. The news vans camped at the border for weeks. Missing war hero,
rogue ranger, ghost wolf. In town, they whispered about shadows moving through the Glacier Park backcountry, a man with a limp, an old soldier, and a German shepherd running with a silver-coated Alpha. The park rangers found the cabin empty, except for 3 things: Jared's dog tags on the table, Clay's Vietnam medal on the windowsill, and a single paw print in the dust. Perfectly formed, missing 1 toe. Some stories didn't end. They just changed packs.
The abandoned homestead near Waterton Lakes had seen better days. Its fences sagged, its barn leaned like a drunk veteran, but the spring still ran clear. Clay tossed another log on the fire as Jared adjusted Rex's new vest. No military insignia, just hand-stitched leather. Outside, 7 wolf pups tumbled in the long grass, their bellies full for the first time since Shadow vanished. "Think they'll ever be wild?" Jared murmured. Rex answered by herding the smallest one away from the creek, the one with caramel eyebrows just like his. Some lessons didn't need teeth to stick. Dr. Lisa Carter's government-issue boots crunched on the gravel driveway. She carried 2 files, one stamped deceased, the other labeled Cerberus, terminated. "They've stopped looking," she lied, watching Rex nudge the pups toward Jared. Clay snorted, polishing his 30-06 with deliberate slowness. The doctor left her medical bag on the porch, extra antibiotics, burn cream, and a GPS tracker with the battery removed. Family came in strange packages these days. Rex peed on the bag. Message received.
They arrived at dusk. Men with hollow eyes and VA baseball caps. Some walked with canes, others with service dogs of their own. Each brought something: venison, ammunition, a tattered photo of a canine from wars no one remembered. Rex stood statue still as calloused hands traced his scars. "Damn," breathed a Marine with no left arm. "They really did it to you too." The pups watched from the tree line, learning what no training manual could teach: how to carry grief without buckling. That night, 7 wolves howled at the moon. 7 veterans answered. The first gunshot cracked at 3:17 a.m. Clay's sentry post doing its job. Rex had the pups flattened in the root cellar before the second shot rang out. Jared's voice carried through the dark. Blackwater tires. 2 vehicles. Moonlight glinted off something silver moving through the aspens, too large to be a wolf, too quiet to be human. Rex didn't bark, didn't growl, just positioned himself between the cellar door and whatever was coming. Somewhere in the trees, a familiar raspy howl split the night. The pups whined in recognition. Shadow's war wasn't over either.
Morning revealed the cost. Blood streaked across the pasture. Tire tracks veering off into Canada. Clay counted spent shell casings while Jared treated a graze wound on the boldest pup. Rex sniffed at the fire pit where Shadow used to sleep during pack meetings. The ashes were still warm. No body. No goodbyes. Just a single silver tuft caught on the woodpile and 7 pups who no longer needed bottle feeding. Dr. Carter would note in her illegal medical log, "Subject K9R shows no signs of grief." She was wrong. Rex's mourning happened at the tree line every sunset, standing sentry where the wild things used to gather. The first winter nearly broke them. When the blizzard cleared, Clay found Rex standing vigil over a simple pine marker near the creek. 2 names were carved deep: Shadow and Knox. Except Jared was very much alive, thawing venison by the stove. "Damn dog's got a sense of humor," the ranger grumbled, even as he added a third name, Cerberus, crossed out with a knife. That night, 7 grown wolves, no one called them pups anymore, dug through 4 feet of snow to sleep around the plaque. Their breath fogged the names all winter long. Some memorials didn't need flowers.
The Pentagon's official report listed 14 KIA during Operation Red Dawn. The unofficial one, leaked to a veterans forum, mentioned an anomalous thermal signature near Waterton Lakes. 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Canine. Persistent. Satellite footage showed nothing but trees. Local rangers complained of howls that matched no known species. On the ranch's highest ridge, a German shepherd with a limp and 7 wolves with military-grade implants watched the stars through stolen night vision goggles. Jared called it perimeter defense. Clay called it payback. Rax just guarded the den where the next generation of soldier wolves slept. Some legacies needed teeth to survive. Spring brought tourists and trouble. A wildlife photographer caught the pack swimming at dawn, their movements too synchronized for nature. The photo went viral, #GhostWolves. Dr. Carter arrived with syringes and a warning. They're reactivating Cerberus. That night, Rax did something unprecedented. He led the pack to the photographer's campsite, not to attack, to pose. Morning light revealed the perfect shot. 8 canines staring into the lens, their eyes reflecting fire. The caption wrote itself. The Veterans Administration does not recognize these claims. The VA's phones rang off the hook. 7 wolves smiled.
The government men came with dart guns and warrants. They found the ranch empty, except for a single dog tag nailed to the door. Not Jarrett's, not Rex's. The inscription read, Shadow, Alpha. Inside, monitors played distorted footage of a silver wolf leading 7 hybrids and 1 grizzled ranger through a crack in the mountains. Dr. Carter's final note read, Subject Key 9R exceeded all parameters. Recommend closure of Project Cerberus. The penmanship matched General Holloway's. The signature didn't. Some victories required disappearing into the wild. Static. Then a shaky cell phone video. A silver wolf with a limp stands atop a ridge in Glacier Park. Behind him, 7 military-grade canines flank a man in a tattered ranger uniform. In the foreground, a German shepherd with caramel eyebrows turns toward the camera and winks. The timestamp is wrong. It reads 1968 to infinity. The video has no location data, no sound. But if you turn your volume all the way up as it ends, you might hear it, the faintest echo of a raspy howl and laughter. Some stories don't end. They just wait for you in the wild places.